same with Christianity, to be honest. You can have the pastors talking about, come to my house and I'll pray for you, and end up trying to seduce women and have their way with them, all in the name of God. The same thing can happen, all in the name of feminism. Men will get women to trust them, just so that men can control women more easily.
Well, it's good to see that you're pointing out all these silly mangianas that are trying to go around in feminism having sex with girls. Good. I knew you weren't one of them, but they're still feminists, whether you like it or not. They may be doing it to get into women's pants, but I do think they believe some of it. Not all of it. But Kevin Logan, you know, he's one of them. You might want to check him out. You might want to purge him. Anyway, even though these people exist, and you're right in regards to Christianity, some pastors are like that, still, these guys are men of the cloth. They still believe in a God. They still believe in a version of Christianity. They just have high libidos and want to have sex. I mean, you know, there's nothing stopping them. I mean, the Bible does say you can be polygamous, after all. I know that's not really what they mean by that. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. People can't be hypocrites when they're Christians and feminists. All I know is that you have just given us a lot of ammo, because now you just admitted that feminism is the same as religion. It's very similar in many ways. Like I said before, you're just part of a religious cult, mate. You come from one to another, or you've now joined both. Oh, mate.
One of the problems of being a first generation British-born Nigerian, the clash with religion, when I think about the fact that Nigerians, first of all, the fact that we're called Nigerians. Who called Nigeria, Nigeria? I don't know, but it weren't Nigerians.
We didn't call Britain Britain. The Romans did. And as far as I know, Nigerians probably called Nigerians Nigerians. I don't know. That's not the white patriarchy's fault. Countries are called countries. That's just the English translation. I'm sure there is a tribal language, well, you have many tribal languages who have their own names for Nigeria. I didn't name my country, you didn't name your country. We've all been invaded. I'm sure that the Trinidadians didn't call it Trinidad, or the Tobagans didn't ask to be with the Trinidadians, or maybe they did. I think they probably did. Most likely, otherwise it wouldn't be one country, would they? I don't know what you being a British Nigerian has to do with this. Besides, you're British, mate, alright? Your parents are Nigerian, but you are not. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Hey, you know, you're just going to call me a cracker, a white guy, whatever, but you know that I'm not, alright? Because I told you guys I'm mixed race. 3 different. See? I don't call myself a Trinidadian, I just call myself from the geographical expression that I come from. That is, I'm a Mancunian, motherfuckers, alright? I'm a Mancunian. I also consider myself English because, you know, I brought up in the only culture that I know. I'm drinking the only caffeinated drink that matters. And I'm sure you are the same, mate. Not only were you brought up in the Nigerian way, but also the British way, because, you know, you wouldn't be here. Your parents wouldn't be here. We have that link. We have the Commonwealth link. But anyway, that's besides the point. I know what you're trying to get in here. You're trying to talk about slavery and who named my country Nigeria. I don't know who named Nigeria. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. I looked up how England became England. It's because there was a group of people from continental Europe called the Angles, and then there were the Saxons, and they came together during the same amount of time, and then England, which was Britannia, became known as Angleland or England, as English formed. That's how I know my country was, well, our country, you know, our country was called. Look it up. I'm sure there's a way. Maybe there's a river or something. Maybe there's, I don't know, a landmass or some kind of thing in Nigeria where it gets its name. Maybe it's a very pretty name for that place. You don't know that, do you? Just to, you know, quench your thirst for knowledge of the names, origins of your parents' countries of birth, allow me to explain. Nigeria is named Nigeria because it's named after the river Niger in Nigeria. We do not know why the river Niger is called Niger. We know why the river Avon is called the River Avon, because the Romans met the Celts and says, do you have a name for that river? And they go, It's just the Avon. It's the river. And so the Romans henceforth called the river Avon, as in river. It's the river. We don't know why Niger is called the River Niger. All we know is that it could possibly be from a Berber word for river, which means ger. So Niger, you know, words change. They go through different languages, etc., etc. So there, that is your country's names, origins explained. There is no colonial conspiracy. They know the River Niger, and why don't we call this Nigeria? The river runs through it. Nigeria. Nice, pretty name from a source that gives us life. I told you it was a pretty name.
You called Africa Africa. I don't think it was Africans.
Aren't you guys lucky that you've got an historian to tell you all these facts? Now, Africa is called Africa because there was an area of northern Africa along the Mediterranean coast that was a province called Africa by the Romans. This was what they conquered from the Carthaginians. It's only a small section. I think it's Tunisia and parts of Algeria and Libya, I think. Now, that's what makes up the province of Africa. And eventually that grew in European languages to mean the whole continent. Originally it was one small area, and there were other different areas and provinces called different names. And no, like for example, Morocco was called Mauritania, I think, if memory serves me correct. But now that whole continent is now called Africa because they didn't know at the time that that was a continent. So it makes sense for Africa to expand and that's all Africa. And no, the Africans who lived there, who were white and black and brown and everything in between, didn't call it Africa. The Romans called it Africa. They probably called it Carthage or New Tyre, I think Carthage was once called. All sorts of names. They have their own names for that area from which they lived in. But again, it's just the way languages have worked throughout the years. Africa has expanded to mean the whole continent because they didn't know there was a continent. They were just on a land that was south from Rome. They knew they were all in the same area. They just didn't know that there was more beyond Sudan. That was as far as they ever went. Maybe Ethiopia too, but by and large, they never went that further south until years later. So there you go. The origins of the name Africa.
And it's frustrating to think that Christianity was something that was forced upon us.
It was also forced on us too in England. We were pagans before Christianity spread from Ireland and Rome. It was forced on us too. You're forgetting.
And now, Nigerians won't let that go. So when I learned the history, missionaries and colonialism, the atrocities that went on there.
Mind the fact that you have your own tribal divisions. You've never been a truly unified country. You know, you've got the Muslim side and you've got the Christian side. Oh, you forgot about the Muslims. You also forced their Islam on the southern side of the country. If memory serves me correct. Not all Nigerians are Christian. Only your tribe of Nigerians are Christian, mate. Boko Haram, for example, operate in that area between Nigeria, Kenya, all sorts of different countries. They're Islamic, and some of them are Nigerian. But, you know, let's not get the history facts out of the way. This is shaming white people. It wasn't just the white people that spread Christianity. You're forgetting the Ethiopians were Christian long before Nigerians. Maybe it came from there. Maybe Islam came from Sudan or Somalia, and yes, maybe Arabia and the Ottoman Empire. You're forgetting that there were different empires competing for Africa. You do know that, right? You do know that. But no, nuance is not needed in this because it's British's fault.
It's frustrating because obviously knowing that, there's no way in hell that I would accept that religion, but my mother can't see it that way, nor people of her generation. You're trying to say it's ridiculous that they gave us this religion, mess up the country, leave, and now 150 or so years later down the line, I have to sit in church and listen to some bullshit sermon because my mum, her generation had no chance against the enforcement of Jesus.
Yeah, they were. You know what? Some of them were forced at gunpoint. Others were not. Like you said, there were missionaries who preached the word, and obviously some Nigerian tribesmen thought, "I quite like this way of seeing things about the world. I want to know more. I would like to be a Christian. I would like to be a Muslim. Maybe I've never thought that these gods that we're supposed to believe in, or whatever folk religions that are still around, believed in. It doesn't say anything to me." So rather than being atheist, they replaced it with being a Christian or a Muslim. Some of it was through choice, some of it was forced. Now, you're bitter about something that happened long before even your parents were born. And yeah, 150 years later, everyone's Christian or Islamic. But so what? That's not my fault. That's not everybody else's fault that's living around now. Stop pinning the sins of the father onto the sons, please. And please, remember the facts. It's not a Christian country. It's half and half. But, you know, the other ones are brown, so, you know, solidarity, brother, yeah. But look, in all seriousness, right? God, you just don't understand, do you? You don't. They had the choice later on if they wanted to be Christian or not. They had the choice to look at the Bible and realise this is a load of bullshit, but they didn't. They chose to be Christians. That's their choice. You, until you were 18, I don't know how old you are, you do not have to go to church. I assume you do not go to church now, because you seem to be an atheist, or rather a faithist. I'll get into that in a minute. You didn't have to when you were 16 or 18. You could have told them, I don't want to go to church, I'm an atheist. And maybe they would have accepted it. They seem to have accepted it now. That you're a man and you've got your own beliefs and opinions. What was stopping you to say no? It's not your fault or their fault, or even the British. Even the British people were brainwashed. You do realise that religion itself is a massive brainwashing cult, right? That Christianity is a cult that brainwashes people, and then they go and brainwash other people in the name of their religion, or whatever sect that they believe in. But forget nuance, forget facts, this is feminism. And you seem to have replaced the Christianity that you used to believe in and with feminism, which is a religion, which you kind of, you know, you compared it to Christianity before. You are no different. You are no different to those British people. You are doing the exact same thing. You are trying to convert young British people into feminists. That's what you are trying to do. You are no different. You are no different.
The notion of Islam being the black man's natural religion, I don't think it's a natural religion for anybody. There's always an agenda.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on religion. I agree with you that it's nobody's natural religion at all. We're all brainwashed. But you're doing the exact same thing with feminism. Can you not see this? If you could apply that skepticism to feminism, you would find that it's all a bullshit. And like you said, it's all an agenda. It's all an agenda. Maybe you are not quite a lost cause and that I thought you were, but I worry for you, man. You're not a dumb guy. You're not as dumb as I thought you were, but you're saying dumb things because you cannot compute. You just don't know the facts. You are blind. You are still blind to what is actually going on and what happened.
But there's always something underneath that, and it's more often than not controlling people. I don't think people are aware of how Islam was brought to Africa. People aren't even aware about how Christianity was born to Africa.
You're right, but you're one of those people who doesn't understand how it was brought to Africa. You don't understand. You've shown that you don't understand. You just generalised your own people into saying they're all Christians, but they're not. Southern Nigerians are Muslims. They believe in Islam. You're totally right. But the problem is, you're wanting us to replace it with your own religion, feminism. And that's not right. You can't. Two wrongs don't make a right, blood. And you're just projecting at this point. I don't know if you're even remotely, you know, aware of this. You're not aware of your projecting. Feminism is all about control. Why do you think you just said that all these words have these associations, or rather you put these associations with these words, and then say people shouldn't say them. It's all about control. You're trying to control the way people speak and how they should think. Is that not the same?
In the news, the BBC and all the bloody news stations will talk about the atrocities that are going on around the world. They'll talk about Boko Haram kidnapping 200 girls. They don't want to talk about how Boko Haram means it's basically rejecting Western education. They would not exist if the British, the same people that are reporting these horrible terrorists, didn't come and mess up the country in the first place.
Citation needed. You're going to have to try and give me evidence on how the British, who left 50, 60 years ago, I can't remember exactly when Nigeria declared independence, or were given independence, I think it was roughly the 50s or the 60s. How was that our fault, exactly? Maybe, you know, some evidence would be nice. At the moment, that's just something that I can dismiss without evidence. Like I said, Christopher Hitchens, man.
They talk about Israel and Palestine and how horrible that is, but they never talk. They only go back so far back in history to cover up their own tracks.
You have shown a distinct lack of historical awareness. You know nothing. You have literally no historicity at all. Nothing at all. So don't come lecturing us, or me, especially me, about history. Yeah, they only go so far back because this conflict has only been going on for the last 70 years. So there's only so much you can go back to. Why? Explain that. There's two sides to every story. There's not just Israel oppressing Palestinians, the victims. There's more nuance than that. That's why I don't take sides, but I digress.
They don't want to talk about why things are the way they are, and more often than not you can always trace it back to the British.
Oh, for God's sake, is this shame the British in History Month? Oh, for fuck's sake, lad. Look, it wasn't just the British. It was the Americans. It was the French. It was the Arabs. It was the Turks. After World War I, we had a treaty where we would be protectors of these areas. And among one of the treaty's things was resettling of Jewish immigrants. There were already Jewish people living there, and a lot of the Palestinians were also immigrants, as far as I'm aware. In fact, I think they're from Syria and other places. But we'll be getting too much into the history, and I'm already going over time as it is. This is an hour long. Not all roads lead to the British, mate. I don't understand what you've got against your own bloody people. Against this government. You can be unhappy with what we did in the past. I'm unhappy with what we did. But that's in the past. They're talking about things that happened in the future. They're discussing the current events of the news. They're telling you one side of the story. It's up to you to go find the other story or present that side of the story. Don't complain. Create your own news network or your own little newspaper or online blog. Go and visit Palestine. Go visit Nigeria and Kenya and all the other places that Boko Haram has been menacing. And understand. Ask the people. Ask the belligerents. But no, you won't. You're an SJW. You're a slacktivist. You only talk about what other people have drummed in there.
They will hide the bloody past of the British Empire.
Citation needed. The BBC recently discussing the treaty that we've signed with Jamaica in regards to extradition also mentioned the fact that the Jamaicans are trying to press for reparations. That is not hiding our bloody past. The BBC make documentaries on slavery. They make documentaries on the British Empire, be it Niall Ferguson or somebody else from a different perspective. You cannot prove that, because there's been countless documentaries about the British Empire that's been either for, against, or in between. And if you're not satisfied with them, go for another historian. Go and learn it. Go and get your degree. You'll find out what it's really like, but never mind. The BBC has a duty to discuss the history. No, they're a current events news programme. If you want a documentary, go to BBC 4.
As much as they can. It's Great Britain, but they take out the empire bit, so we don't know how Britain became so great.
Because we don't have an empire anymore. That's why we only call Great Britain. You idiot! We're not an empire anymore. That is history. That is, it's relatively recent history since we lost it, but nonetheless, it is history. And they do tell us about it. You are taught about it in school. You are taught about it in A-level history. You are taught about it. You're taught it in university. The reason you don't know everything is because history is not a compulsory subject in this country like it is in other countries. If you wanted to know more, read up on it. Go get a book. Look on the internet. Go to a university and study it, like I said. It seems to me you know nothing about your own history. Nothing at all. I know more, but then again, I am the expert here.
I remember we learned about the Victorians a lot. We learned about the Industrial Revolution, but we didn't know what was funding the revolution in the first place.
The blood, sweat and tears of my ancestors in Manchester and other places in the north of England, in Trinidad, etc. You know, even though by the time of the Industrial Revolution we'd outlawed slavery. In fact, just look at Sargon of Akkad's video on how the British outlawed it. We outlawed it worldwide because we could. I'm not a fan of the British Empire at all. I don't like the idea of empire and imperialism as much as you do. But you're making it out as if it's an entirely bad thing. It entirely did bad things. It's never the case. History is never like that. The Romans did a lot of horrible shit. Yet they also gave us roads. They gave us education and maths and loads of stuff that we still use today. They created the roots of our language in many ways. A lot of our stuff is based on Latin. Hell, even the Arab empires, our entire numerical system is now based on theirs. Well, at least the figures are. Algebra, etc. No, we've mixed their mathematics with the classical mathematics, and we're now where we are today. British Empire, similarly, created new technologies that we still use today. You know, we now have mass-produced materials because of that. Because of this city that I currently live in. And people died, and people starved, and people were forced into slums because of that. But, you know, you're only going to care about the slaves and other shit. That did happen, but, you know, again, it's a less nuanced, completely biased perspective, which you're supposed to be arguing against, but you just want to replace the perceived bias of the BBC and all these other people with your own.
We didn't know that whilst there's this booming revolution in England, there's people from Britain in India and Nigeria and so on and so forth, murdering and pillaging and colonizing.
And let's not forget these native warlords who are also allying with us and mutually benefiting from us. They were the ones who controlled the populace for us. You're forgetting. Why do you think it's called the British Raj? Because we had Indian princes in our pay pocket. But never mind. Never mind. It's just all the British doing it. It's never as nuanced as that. I said, not all of Britain was booming. My working class ancestors toiled and worked in the factories until they died of black lung in the pits, or they suffocated with cotton, or they got mangled in the machine and couldn't work anymore and were sent to the workhouse. It's not all bloody gloom and doom outside in the empire. Even at home we had problems that they didn't fix until the 40s. Again, you just don't know anything. You are clueless.
And then people want to complain about immigrants coming over and taking our jobs and blah blah blah, but you went over and took our resources.
You are not those people. You are not those people. Look, just like I'm not those people from Trinidad. I am not those people. You are not those people. Those resources don't belong to you. They don't belong to me. You and I are Brits, talking about British history, for fuck's sake. You are not as Nigerian as your parents. You were born here. You're British, whether you like it or not. You don't see me complaining about my past. You don't see me, you know, asking for the sins of the fathers to be paid onto the sins of the sons, do you? I accept what happened. I'm glad that happened. Does that mean I won't be here today and you wouldn't be here today and we won't be having this conversation? There's always another side, like I say. But they were not your resources. They were not your people. These people don't exist anymore. They are dead and buried. Everyone that did those things are no longer here. They're hardly even relevant. Hardly relevant anymore. I hate these social justice warriors and these. It's not even a social justice thing. It's a thing that we minorities always do in this country. We like to, you know, say that hey, that's my country, that's my motherland. It's not. It's not. We're as European and as British as the next Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Came to a country that wasn't theirs and lived better than the people who were indigenous.
Realised the indigenous posh people also benefited. They wanted the British there as well. Just like the Romans used to have vassals in Gaul who benefited enormously from Roman rule. You're forgetting all this shit. This is how empires work. A lot of people weren't benefiting from it at all. But just like how working class Brits weren't benefiting either, whether you like it or not. You see, you ignore the working class Brits who had to fight these wars. No, they didn't ask to fight these wars. They may have, you say, well, they volunteered to fight. Yeah, but they didn't start the war. It was the politicians that started the war. You do realise that, right? And let's not forget, we had allies there who propped us up for years, until eventually we left. You do realise that. But, you know, nuance doesn't exist.
It's just the irony, the hypocrisy of Britain and Western countries in general is infuriating.
The only hypocritical one here is you.
Africa's in huge debt to the countries that stole from them.
The citation needed. We're also in debt to the Chinese, so
that is still colonialism. It's still happening.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You haven't shown how they're in debt. We give aid to them. That doesn't mean they're in debt to us. I don't remember us piling a lot of debt onto them. As far as I'm aware, the only debt the whole world owes is to the Chinese, but,
Can you imagine you've got a nice house with loads of nice things in it?
Don't actually, but I bet you do. You seem posher than me.
Someone comes into your house, steals from you, and then enslaves you, then leaves after taking all your shit, and then you now owe them money.
I'm sorry, you're gonna give me evidence for that? Apparently they owe us money? No, we give them aid. But I've never, ever, ever heard that they're in debt to us. That is certainly that is a lie. That has to be a lie. Because I have, in all my years of learning about colonialism, because believe me, I have. I've been studying history almost all my life, and I have never ever heard this shit before. If anything, it's always you saying that we owe you. Oh wait, no, you are we. You are we. What am I talking about? We're the same fucking nationality. What are we talking about? See what I mean, people? This is where it gets really fucking dumb. It gets really dumb. I say dumb shit because they're just dumb. Oh, it gets into your brain. This fucking reparations bullshit. We don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything. Leave it at that. Can we just be humans for one day? For one day. A citation needed, by the way.
And while you're paying them back with crazy interest, they're still stealing from you.
Citation once more. It seems the only people stealing from you is the Nigerian government and Boko Haram. That's as far as I'm seeing right now. It seems to be dictators that have taken over that have got some of these countries in debt, not the British. Sure, some of them, you know, the roots of it is how we formed these countries and how we left, sure. But if you can't run your country properly and you've run it into debt, then it's your government's fault, not the British. You can't just blame everything on us. Because don't forget, there was your ruling classes that were pro-British for quite some time when it suited them.
You can't win. You really, really can't win. It's such a far-fetched situation. As so many African countries are in debt to so many Western countries, it's actually ridiculous when in actual fact reparations should be paid.
It was leading up to this bit, people. But first, it is a far-fetched thing because what are they in debt with? They're not in debt because of colonialism. Are they in debt for not paying for the weapons that they've been buying, or and for all the wars that they've been involved in. It's not all to do with colonialism. It's a lot to do with the stuff that's been happening afterwards. But again, you're not showing me any, statistics. You're not showing me any evidence for this. What can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Are Britain in debt to Nigeria? Absolutely. Big time. Absolutely. Britain are in debt to a lot of countries.
Well, and so is Turkey and all the Arab states. And so is your own country. Your ruling class is indebted to your lower classes. They stole money. The British stole money. The Turks stole money. The Arabs stole money. But we only care about the British Empire doing it for whatever reason. We don't care about the Turks who own 90% of the market when it came to slavery and the massive shit that they did to Asia, Africa and Europe. Don't forget, Eastern Europe was under their thumb for centuries even, but we don't care about them because it's racist to even bring that up, apparently. That's what the social justice warriors say. But it's historical fact. Nobody owes anybody anything when it comes to things that happened in the past. Nobody owes you anything because you weren't around when that happened. You were not oppressed. Your parents were not oppressed. Your ancestors were, but they're dead. And the British people that did it to them are also dead. If anything, it should be them paying them. But they're all dead now. There's nothing we can do about it. It is logically impossible. It is just physically impossible for that to happen. You're already getting millions in aid as it is. Is that not reparations enough? Is that not reparations enough? Just out of interest. I don't go beating the drum for reparations for Trinidad, do I? I don't go asking for reparations because you're a southerner. I don't ask you to pay reparations for the harrying of the North, do I? No, because it's impossible. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Because the past is in the past. Everyone that was ever alive back then that happened is dead. They're the only people who deserve the reparations. And it's not going to happen. Because they're dead. They're dead.
I used to feel a lot of pressure to cut my hair. I mean, it all starts from primary school, secondary school. They'd have been like, you can't grow your hair longer than a certain length. No cane rows. All of that stuff tells you that my hair isn't good. And I think it's really interesting as well because people, me included, I was one of these people, we'll talk about black women and talk about weave and talk about like relaxer, but we're blind to the fact that, hold on, my hair doesn't ever grow past a certain point. I won't allow it to, and if it does, I've got to comb my hair or I've got to texturize because I need to somehow appease the white man's idea of me.
Look, they told you to cut your hair because, I don't know if you know this, but schools have a dress code and schools don't like kids having long hair, and they don't like them having coloured hair. They don't like any kid looking improper. They don't like them looking scruffy, and it's down to taste personally. And different schools have different lengths. They didn't do it because of your race. They didn't do it because they wanted you to look white or what they thought a black man should look like. They did it because every kid had to have their hair over a certain length. It happened with me. Eventually, in my high school, the older you got, the more leeway they gave you because teenagers are obviously going to grow the hair out or do silly things with it. And I think logic dictates that they have more freedom because, at some point, you're not going to be able to control them as well as you can someone who's younger, That's the way it works. It has nothing to do with your race, you victim. Oh my god, you think everything's against you. You think everything in this country is against you. It's not. It had nothing to do with your race. It was about looking smart. As dumb as it is. That's just the way schools are. But, this is the thing. It's all about me. God, I'd love to meet your parents because I think I'd get along with them a lot more than you.
And not be too threatening. I think it is unfair that there's so much pressure on women to have their hair a certain way and men not to.
They can have their hair in any way they want. So can men. There is no social stigma in regards to hair. You're a muppet. We live in a free world, apparently.
How a woman has her hair so strongly defines how their day's gonna go. It's ridiculous. I've had people...
That's a sexist stereotype and you should be ashamed of yourself, you fucking shitlord.
say my hair is wild. I've had people say I look like a drug addict or a drug dealer. Most of the time, these people are people of the same ethnicity as me. You've internalized the things that people say about them.
Needed. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they genuinely think you look like a drug dealer. And if these are people who are the same ethnicity as you, they're fellow British Nigerians, well then, maybe they're posher than you, and they think you're a bit of a scroll. They think you're a pleb. I don't know. It's nothing to do with internalised racism. How dare you accuse them of being Uncle Toms? You're being racist to your own people. You're being sexist towards women, which you were, because you just generalised them, like, oh, their hair will set their days. Like, no, it won't. Not all women are like that. Some women, yes, they need to do their hair. It's an insecurity thing. It's nothing to do with them being women, maybe. I don't know. Even I sometimes fret about my hair, and I'm a guy. I'm straight as they come, and even I sometimes worry what my hair looks like. Because I don't look like an idiot. Sometimes I don't care. Sometimes. But, you know, it depends. If I'm on a YouTube video, I really should be looking my best. Because I don't want to look like an idiot in front of people. I know I've got the room and shit, but that's not me. That's just the room. And who gives a shit about that anyway? Camera trickery can solve that. But regardless, they're not racist. They're either classist, or they don't like you, or they're just judgmental pricks. There's nothing to do with race, mate. I've been called all sorts of stuff. I've been told I look like things. I don't give a shit about these people. You shouldn't give a shit about them. Fucking grow up.
The fact that someone can say that if my hair's like this, I'm more likely to be a crackhead than a banker is ridiculous.
It is, and they're judgmental idiots. That has nothing to do with race.
I shouldn't have to cut my hair when I turn 30 and wear a suit, no. But I think it's really interesting that my hair's different and weird and strange and wild and exotic because my hair grows like that. No, it's not. My hair's freaking normal.
Shit, you motherfucker. Oh my god, fucking hell. Well, maybe you're just talking to white people who have never met black people before. You do realise this country's 80-odd% white, right? That means not everyone comes into contact with a black person every day, depending on what area they come from. You know? And so what? They mean it in a good way. They're complimenting you. My hair used to be called wild, because it grows outwards like yours. And yes, it is normal. They know it's normal, but they're describing it. They're just using different language. They know it's normal. They know people's hair grows like that. Even white people have hair like that. You know? Curly hair. White people have curly hair. They know it's normal. It's just, I don't know. What do you want me to think? I can't explain the world for you, you fucking snowflake.
Your hair is weird to me. It's so straight and flat and weird colours. When it goes in the water, it sticks to your face. That's weird to me.
Then by your own judgmental standards, you're also a fucking racist, you cunt. Oh, did I just say a word that you didn't like? Well, get used to it. That's the real world. My hair actually is not straight. It is a wavy, which means it grows outwards like a fro, but it's got the texture of a straight hair, kind of. I don't know. Yeah, it sticks when it gets wet, but then it frizzes when it dries. So... You're wrong, shitlord. Don't generalise. You know, throughout this entire video, you have been nothing but the opposite of what you're preaching against.
Can I touch your hair? Can I play with your hair?
No, you cannot, because I don't want you personally touching my hair. You see, if a girl touched your hair, would you complain? No, you wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't complain. Neither would I, but, you know.
This is my default.
Nobody cares.
There's a fascination that comes from the seed that is, you are not fully human.
Meditation needed, please. Again, you're strawmanning people, you're making shit up. Again, you're complaining about your own people calling you a drug dealer. Maybe they're just getting under your skin because you're such a twat.
It's like, oh wow, a unicorn. Can I touch your hair? What nice skin you have, blah blah blah. But it all comes to the same thing, you're not human.
A unicorn? No, nobody's ever called any of my black mates that. They've never told me that they've been called a unicorn. maybe, I don't know, they didn't literally call you an animal. Maybe it's a metaphor because you seem so mystifying to them. Maybe they're attracted to you. You just said a compliment was an insult. And this is the problem with you people. You have not suffered. You, throughout this video, have shown completely that you have never known true suffering. So you have to, and I hate to use your words, appropriate your ancestors' oppression for your own ends. Because you haven't suffered. You're middle class. Middle class people haven't suffered. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to be oppressed. They don't know what it's like to be fucking down in the dumps. People not liking you because you're this and you're that. You may have a little bit of experience because you're like me, a minority, but you don't know suffering. What do you know? You're a snowflake.
You're not as human as I am. You're not the default.
I'm sorry, but who even thinks like that anymore? Apart from fringe racists from both sides. At the moment, it seems the only racist here is you. And the only sexist here is you. The only oppressor here is you. Guys, this is a fucking feature film at this rate. How much longer have I got? And to compound my misery even further, you have to do the most stereotypically black thing, street dancing. Seriously, could you not do, I don't know, do something different? Do you really want to look more like a hypocrite than you already are?
You can hate a woman in so many other ways without saying I hate you.
You said that before, but go on.
If you understand what it's like to not feel human because you're black, then you understand what it's like to not feel human because you're a woman.
No, you don't. I've explained this. Just because you're a woman does not mean you understand racial discrimination. You just don't. The two things are different.
Your hair is weird to me. It's so straight and flat and weird colours sticks to your face. That's weird to me. This is my default.
Bob Marley was right. You know, we mixed race people, we don't take fucking sides because you're all as bad as each other. Literally, what you said there, even though they're just repeating the shit that you said in the fucking video now to create some kind of stupid conclusion. You're all as fucking bad as each other. All you do is complain about shit. If it's not the Storm Fags, it's you. Alright? God damn it. He was right. We don't take sides. Don't take sides. But I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry, but I have to call out the bullshit. I'm sure you would approve anyway, regardless. I'm not actually taking sides. I'm just putting my opinion out there. That this is fucking stupid. All he's done saying this is that, oh yeah, I'm a racist too. But you're more racist than me. Because your hair's weird. My hair's not weird. I'm normal. I know he's trying to pass it off as sarcasm, but I don't think so. I think he's projecting. I honestly do.
It's Great Britain, but they take out the empire bit, so we don't know how Britain became so great.
The empire bit doesn't fucking exist anymore, you fucking muppet, and I've already explained to you idiots time and time and time again. It's all out there in the public. We know how we did it. We know how we became an empire. There's been countless documentaries and books written about it, movies made about it. We know. It's not some secret fucking Illuminati conspiracy against minorities. We all know this history. We all know. Just because you don't know your own fucking history doesn't mean that the rest of us don't know it. You do realise I have this fucking thing to fucking prove it, eh? God damn it. You people blow my mind so much how stupid you are and how just ignorant. You're pig ignorant. You accuse white people and whoever the hell is the fucking main ethnicity. I don't give a shit, right? It doesn't matter. It could be anyone. You accuse them of all this shit and you're all as guilty of it. We're humans. This is what humans do. Oh, fuck. I'm so glad I'm mixed race. I decided not to go through the rest of this conclusion because they're just basically repeating what he said before, and you all know what I said, so this is getting far too long for my liking. It is my longest video to date that is not a stream, I think it's now clocked in that over an hour and 30 minutes, so that's a feature film. This guy was that dumb. I didn't even want to do that last bit because I'm sick of talking about that bullshit. I mean, it's always argued by people who don't know anything about history. They know nothing. Anyway, this has been Charming Man 93. Like and share the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all later.